Hello guys and welcome to a new video. I'm Max from SketchUp TV and today we are creating a new design animation in Principle and Sketch. So our result will look like this. We have a shop or lookbook application for iOS and we want to animate two screens, or basically the transition between these two screens. So if I click on an image, for example this, how it animates to the next screen to get a bigger view of the product or of this person. So if I click it, I want to have a nice animation between the screens and of a nice animation of the elements. And we will now simply create these animations in Sketch and Principle. So I simply close this right now, and I have a sketch file right here that I prepared a little bit. You will find the download link in the description. And what we do now is we open up Principle and we set our preset to the normal iPhone 6. So there we have it, and we have our first output right here. In Sketch we want to export our files or our layers basically. So at first what I will do is to hide these things right here because I want to export the photo at first. And our file size is 750 by 1334. And what we will do now is we export it. I just call it let's say S1, and we have to attach add2x to the file name to have a correct displaying of our app when we want to show it on our iPhone screen. I will also link down the, let's say, the tutorial or the doc file of Principle that tells you how you can show or test your animation on a real phone, on your iPhone, for example. And therefore, yeah, we have to name it add2x at the end. Little bit hard to describe. So yeah, we save it simply, and we have a background color right here, like an overlay, which I will simply create in Principle. We don't have to export this. The next thing that I want to export is the overlay of these buttons and titles and so on. So I simply hide the background, and then we just simply export these. Give it a new name. I just call it S2 add2x. Export it, and that will be our resulting our second screen, and that's our first screen. So what we will do here is we will basically export everything. So I just export the whole screen. I call it L1 add2x, and I want to link this photo. So I go to this folder, I grab the photo, and I want to export only this photo because this will basically link to our second screen, and we need this for our animation. So I just call it L2 add2x. So there we have it. And I also want to animate the title right here, stylist. So I export this as well, call it L3 add2x, and you will see right now what kind of animation we are doing with all these files that we exported. So we have our first screen right here, and we want a second artboard that we have next to it. On our first artboard we simply have our screens that I will just drag in right now. So we have L1, drag it in, reposition it so it looks nice, and L2, that's basically the photo, just place it above the actual photo and look on the animation screen right here if it's positioned accordingly. Okay, I think that's just fine. On our second artboard, we want the S1 because it's our background. And then I said I will do this little black overlay right in principle. Therefore I press R to create a new rectangle layer. I drag it on the whole photo. I give it a black color and I change the opacity the way we want it, like this. Then we just drag in our the other files we have, like S2. Oops, sorry, that was wrong. Let's drag in S2 right here, reposition it again, and S3, and just place this just above the actual title. Yeah, like that. So we have these screens, and I want to animate this screen, this photo, so it gets bigger and resizes to this photo. So what we do now is that we have to rename the layers so that they have the same name. So we have L2 right here, and let's just call this also L2, and you will see in a few seconds what this has to do. So I click on the animate, click on tab, because we just want to tab it, and I drag the arrow to this screen. So, and now what it's doing is that it enlarges the photo. So we have basic animation right here. It already looks pretty nice. But what I don't like about it is that if you look at the top, that we have a white or gray screen before the photo is really 100% matching the screen size. So you see it right here. And to give it a nice effect, we just copy the L1 layer and drag it below our photo. And what it does right now is that our photo just enlarges above the, I call it lookbook screen. So you see now that it really looks better right now. Okay, so what we want to do now is that we want to change how our button and the title and so on are fading in, because right now they are just like bling and they are there. So what we do now is we copy the S2 layer on top of this screen right here, on top of the first screen. Then we set the opacity to 0%. And what it does right now is when you click animate, you will see what's happening. If you click the arrow right here, you see that the opacity right now is changing from 0% to 100% at this point. We can also give it a little delay, just make the animation a little bit longer so we see it better. So now you see that it's a little bit taking a little bit longer, and our details and our button is fading in nicely. Then we have our stylist layer right here. I will also want to animate this one, so I simply copy that layer right here to this artboard, to our first artboard, and we set the opacity. Yeah, we simply let it at 100% and place it below. We are at the first or 0 position in our layer hierarchy, and I want it to resize from a really big size to the actual size we see on our second artboard. So I resize it and then reposition it centered. And what you will see right now is that it actually should go from a bigger size to a smaller size. Yeah, there you see the nice animation, how it fades in. And I think that looks quite cool, so that's the first animation part we are doing right here. What I also want to do is to click this X right here to close this screen. And that's easy because we just create a new rectangle and we place it above our X. Just set the opacity to 0% and click the Thunder button, go on tab and go to this screen. So now we have a new arrow right here showing us we have a new transition between these screens, and now it should just look... okay, I see the mistake, it's not working right now. I think we have to give it a 1% opacity, and we just can't really see it right here, but now it actually should work. Yeah, you see, it works. Clicking the X right here is working just fine. And we have our amazing screen transition between the list and our actual detail page just fine. And we can now just show it a little bit bigger right here. Just resize the window a little bit so we can see it. So we have our first screen, that's our list. You can also animate this, for example, with a horizontal slider of the photos right here, or a normal scroll effect. Maybe we do that later. But right now we are just animating these screens. Click on that and it just looks amazing how the photo enlarges to the screen size, to the full screen size, and how the title fades in, and how the other elements at the bottom just fade in. That's really nice. Clicking the X is just amazing. Looks really good on our screen. And basically that's it, but what I just found out is that the little overlay layer we have right here, the like black effect, that I don't really like that it's also fading in just from 0 to 100% immediately. Maybe you can see it right here. So we just copy this and we also post it in this artboard. Change the opacity to 0% and it just should look fine when we view it right now, clicking the photo. It's just so smooth right now how it looks. And that is the animation that we just did today. I got requests to do this screen transition animation and effects. So here we have our first screen animation, and I think it just looks really amazing. So if you like this tutorial and you want to see further videos, just subscribe to this channel. If you have questions, comment below or give us a thumb up. I would really appreciate that. And thank you for your time, thank you for listening. Have a great day, enjoy designing and download the resources that are in the description. See you guys for the next tutorial video.